and wherever else I decide to post this. How's everybody doing? We are doing a vlog. It's our last day in Aruba, and figured we'd go live together.
Your last day in Aruba.
My last day in Aruba. She's going to be here for a few more days before she heads back to the Netherlands. Hoping to get her tourist visa so she can come back while we wait for the K1 to be approved. And I know people are like, K1, that's a fiance visa. Aren't you guys married? Yes, we are married through the church, not the state yet. Which we may never get married through the state. We don't know. We'll see. We're exploring all of our options. But yeah, so we have a fun topic to discuss today. Something that we've been thinking about for a while. Something that we've kind of gone back and forth. I don't want to say debated, but we've, just wondered if this was the accurate approach. But I titled this live today, "Should a good wife bring other wives to her husband?" That's a little clickbaity, but it's a legit question, right? Because I posted a video not that long ago that said why godly wives should bring wives to their husband, and I basically laid out some biblical examples of women in the Bible who brought wives to their husband. Namely, Abraham brought Hagar, Jacob's wives brought their maidservants, Rachel and Bilhah brought their maidservants. I don't remember their names. Even Esther's king brought Esther to the king's people, whatever, I don't know who, people that were serving him and subject to him. Went out and brought Esther to him. So he didn't go out and find her himself. So I think there's a biblical precedent for this argument. And Sana has some different opinions that we'll talk about in a moment. But also in the video, and I'll just mention this quickly, is if you ever notice that in the Bible, we are called the bride of Christ, right? And that's not just, figurative language. Like Jesus is the husband, and we are the bride, and there's many brides, right? It's a perfect picture of polygyny, which is why the parable of the 10 virgins, there's multiple brides, right? Even though there's one ecclesia, one church, it's a gathering. So it's multiple people making up one church, just like a man can have multiple wives making up, his bride. But my point in the video was God doesn't go out and find other brides. He expects his women, us, so to speak, we're the bride, we're his women, to go out and bring others to him, right? We go out and we proselytize and we evangelize and we bring other women, so to speak, to the groom, to the husband, the bride, the groom, Jesus. So, that was the whole premise behind the video that I posted, and this is what we're going to talk about today. But actually, before we do this, and I know I'm talking a lot, I'm going to let Sana jump in here. Do me a favor, drop a like, drop a thumbs up, say something in the comments. Let us know that you can see and hear us okay. Let us know where you're watching from. We've been trying to kind of track where everybody's at and what part of the world, because we're hoping to start connecting people at some point, and where they can link up. Maybe they can start a little home church, or, start doing life together, attend a social event or whatever. It's just, this movement's growing. God is opening more and more people's eyes to this every day. We're just like to know where everybody's from. So if you don't mind, drop a comment, let us know where you're watching from. And now we'll get into it. And then if you have any questions, absolutely drop in the comments. We have about, 20 minutes or so to go live today before we have to get off to the airport. So anyway, now to our point, should a good wife bring other wives to her husband? The reason that we're actually doing this is because recently, Sana and I, she's been prospecting. She's been before it was we were just kind of let's see if God brings any women into our lives. And I have a dating profile and she has a dating profile. It's just like a line in the water. Mine's not a paid profile anymore, at least. But recently we kind of ramped up her activity where, if we've decided that if we're out together and a pretty girl, a woman crosses our path, she will actually be the one to approach them, not me. Okay. Now there's guys in my program, the Man of Options, and they have differing views. Some of them, their wives never prospect. They never talk to women. They want to be the ones to do it. We could talk about why that is. But we've decided that if we're together and then we see a pretty woman or someone that we think, might be someone for us to be friends with, or could be a potential, that she'll talk to them instead of me. And the reason, well, we can get into the reasons for that, but we've been doing that more. So it's just really, this is a timely conversation for us to have because we got some experience now. I mean, literally yesterday, was it yesterday? There was like 2 women in the same day. There's been multiple days where you've talked to 3 different women, I think, in the same day. And one of the girls we went out with one night and had, went to just a local spot and, nothing, just talked to her and actually really spoke some truth into her life. She was, to be honest, she was kind of lost. And, we felt like we were able to like speak a little truth into her life and maybe give her some good advice. And we're like, if that's all that it was, we didn't we didn't approach her on anything like, hey, do you want to, like, it wasn't that. We were just kind of like, hanging out and let's see if God says anything and maybe we can be a positive.
Well, this was actually kind of a special occasion because we were working at this resort and I saw her sitting at the bar by herself and it looked like she was lonely too. So I just went up to her and I said, like, hey, like, are you here by yourself? And just chit-chatted a little bit. And then it turned out the guy she was with left after 2 days. I think they got into a fight and he left. So she was actually also, like, apart from me going there for a reason, like, it was actually, I think it was a blessing in her life because her and I just went out to have a drink at night or like some dinner, just casual. We just talked. I got to know her a little bit better. She got to know me a little bit better. Even if it's nothing, like if she would never be a wife of yours, it was still a good conversation and just a nice connection with a stranger.
Absolutely. We're keeping the expectations very low. Sana's new to the States. She doesn't have a whole lot of friends. So we're like, look, just if anything, maybe it expands your friend circle. So very low expectations. Actually, someone asked me recently on Facebook, they're like, what's taking you so long, man? Like, there's so many women out there that need husbands. Like, what do you, why haven't you found a second yet? And I responded, and I said, I'll let God be in control of that because, I don't know if a lot of people know my story, but I was single for what, 12 years, 13 years before Sana and I started, before we met. And there was a lot of girls that, wanted to get me off the market, but God would never give me a green light on any of them. Now, I was still under the premise of monogamy only at the time, and that's probably why, because I used to say either one of 2 things need to happen. Either I need to meet a girl that knocks me so far off my feet that she makes me feel a different way than I've ever felt about anybody, and then I'll go to God and I'll be like, God, I want her, please say yes. And that didn't happen. Or I'd meet a girl and God would say her, and I would go, okay. And he would give me confirmation and that would be enough for me because I just need to hear his voice. Neither thing happened. So I was very good at keeping it in neutral because I was very, I did not desire to be single all those years and sexless. It was very difficult, very depressing, very lonely, confusing, all the emotions. But I waited because I wanted God's choice for me. And when he brought Sana into my life, it was undeniable that she was his choice. We got many confirmations for it. So I'm doing the same thing with the second. I probably could go out and, find a girl pretty quickly if I wanted to, any girl, but I don't want that, and I can make a case for that in my mind about why I should have a second because I got a program and it'll show everybody that I can, I got credibility in this space and I'll learn a lot of things about what it's like to have 2 wives and I could teach those things to other guys. I could go through all the reasons, in the natural why I should have this, but if it may not be his will for me to have a second. I don't know. I'm open to it. I kind of want it, to be honest. We were just talking about it before we got on this live. A lot of reasons to have it. We got a baby on the way. There are women obviously that need it. So I believe any woman that entered our family, it would be a huge blessing to her because I know what kind of man and husband I am. But also, it would be great to have some help with the baby and some help with content and all the reasons I just mentioned. But at the end of the day, it's got to be God. If he doesn't say yes and do it, then so right now, even as we're prospecting, we do it very like low expectation, very much hand open.
Well,
God.
Also not the not chasing part.
Yeah.
Remember how we talked
yes.
about that?
Yeah. Talk about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people assume that.
So when when we got here together at the beginning of the month, we were kind of saying like, okay, what we just said, right? Like we wanted to ramp it up a little bit. but we were also thinking like, how should we do it? Like, because, and then you were very much like, you had a very clear vision on that. Like, you don't want to go out to a bar, sit there, like chase girls,
no.
like be all like, it's
too much effort, to be honest. Like we thought about that. Like to be honest, we're kind of homebodies. We're usually in bed by 9 o'clock. We get up early, 6 o'clock. We work all day. We got both got books we're working on. I'm working on my program. She's got a Telegram community. She's got a fitness, online fitness business where she trains with a ton of clients. So we're busy, like putting our hand to the plow and just doing what we believe God wants us to do. I don't want to go out at night looking for girls, like spending money, staying up late. I don't really drink anymore. I just don't want to do it, so I'll throw a line in the water. I'll put up a dating app, and if a fish jumps on, sure, I'll reel it in, but I'm not going to go out like, oh, I need to find somebody, like we're not doing that. So,
No, we actually said like, we'll just go about our lives, like the stuff that we like. I mean, we do all kinds of stuff, things that we like.
Yeah. Now, if it's something that we want to do, absolutely, we'll do it, and we'll keep an eye out while we're there. We go salsa dancing, we go to like concerts in the woods on the weekend. We'll keep an eye out, but I'm not going to go do something that's something that I don't really necessarily want to do just to go hopefully meet a girl. Like, we're not doing that. We're definitely not at that, at the point where we're, that's a little thirsty if you ask me. So let's go back to the original topic and throw it out there. Do me a favor. We got about, 10 people on or so right now. Drop a comment. Helps more people find my channel and find biblical truth. Really doing everything in our power to expose the monogamy only lie, and just something as simple as hitting that like button and dropping a comment would help us. And if you haven't subscribed, actually, please check and make sure that you subscribe to the channel. That also helps me get bigger guests on the podcast. But Sana brought up, she goes, I said in that video that I posted about godly wives should bring other wives to their husband based on those biblical examples that I gave, and based on the fact that we, the bride of Christ, bring other women, so to speak, other brides, to Jesus, the husband. Do you agree or disagree? Before I'd be curious to know what your thought is. Is that a biblical model, or should the man just go out and find the women on his own and not involve the wives? What are your thoughts? Now, go ahead and drop those comments, and while they're doing that, let's go ahead. Now, her thought was, is that really the biblical model, though?
That's not well, yeah, kind of.
Well, they didn't hunt, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I'm more thinking like, yes, I do think I think it's undeniable that it's a biblical model that women brought other women to their husbands, because you can see all those examples. But I really do wonder, like, were they prospecting? So, were they, for example, going like back in the day,
were
right?
They going
like
looking?
or like going to the well. I mean, what was their like equivalent of the bar? So would they go to the well and really like start looking around, talking to it? I really doubt that, because even with men, I kind of find it sexy that you're not desperate about this, and like that would go for any man. Like if a man really like wants this, I think it actually is less attractive than like if it's like, oh, I need a second wife, and like start like desperately looking for it. And
well, I think that's the model, though. Like the model is, we talk about this in the program. And by the way, 7-day free trial to the Man of Options program. It'll either be at the link pinned to the top of this video or in the description of the video. But you can start a 7-day free trial. Come and kick the tires. Attend a group call. But this is something we talked about in there is you can either be hunting in the wild as a man. You can go out hunting in the wild, like walking through the forest looking for a deer to shoot, or you can build a honeypot, right? That's something I've always been good at, is build like a tree stand and just let them come to you, right? Put up some salt licks or whatever and just let the deer come to you. A lot easier. It's easier on some levels, but it's also harder because it's a longer game, because you actually have to build the honeypot. You have to build yourself into something that will attract women. But so I think that's the frame, though, because a man that has status doesn't need to go out looking. The women want him, right? So this is why, again, you got 80% of the women sleeping with 20% of the men, or some say 90-10, because these are the high value men that really built themselves into something, and the women just come to them. They're not out looking for them.
So I kind of wonder if the men in the Bible would like not mostly do the same. They would just go behind their purpose. They would be like building their family, and then if it happened to be that there was like women around that needed husbands.
Well, let's talk about that. So like, this is what because this thought occurred to me just now as you brought that up. Think about when you're trying to bring someone to Jesus. You want to evangelize. Is it better to bring someone you know to Jesus that you already have a relationship with, or is it better to stand on the street corner with a bullhorn and or pass out tracts, knock on doors? Of course, it's better to bring your friends, right? To bring people that you know. I don't think it's an either or. Like, prospecting isn't like, oh, I only need to go out talking to strangers. You're going to have less success that way. But if you're a girl, a woman, and you have a friend and she's out in the wilderness alone trying to find a good man in this shit show, and you have a righteous man, bring her to him. At least suggest it. Throw it out there. Why not? Like, if you don't, are you really loving her the way you love yourself? I mean, isn't that what Jesus said? That was the second commandment, is love your neighbor as you love yourself. Well, if you were her, would you want would you want to have someone to give you a husband, bring you into a family? I mean, I have, people that are against this. I don't want to mention any names, but people that have spoken against this, and they have friends, women, older women in their lives that have no covering, and they're just not doing all that great. They're alcoholics, and they're lonely, and like, you don't think they would love to have a husband and a man? But they're past that point that to actually, if you're, a 50-year-old woman, good fucking luck. Excuse my language, but good luck finding a good man. They're all gone. They're already taken. So now, does it mean things can't happen? People hit the lotto too. So sometimes things happen. The people strike, lightning strikes. But, I don't think it needs to be an either or. I think you're going to get a higher success rate if it's with people that you already have a relationship, coworkers, not family, friends, things like that. But I don't think it needs to be either or, because you still probably can have success prospecting. It just wouldn't be that much different than knocking on doors trying to tell people about Jesus. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things. But well, if you want to compare it to that, like, you also should not make it weird or desperate. Like, we all know, like, when I was I was raised in Christian, and then I didn't really practice it, or however, like, not follow my faith for a while. And I remember that if people were super desperate to like convert me, that would scare me actually off too. I would be like, ugh, like, get away from me.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
So even there's some same, if you're talking that principle, there's the same principle behind that too.
Oh yeah, it's definitely all on how you do it.
Because if I would see a nice group of people that are having a lot of fun, that are very, have like great interaction, then I probably want to be more part of it than somebody desperately trying to convince me that their faith is the best, and that I'm whatever.
Yeah, I heard a sermon on that years ago, and it basically, what is the Great Commission? It says, go into all the world, making disciples, or whatever it is, making disciples, teaching them to obey the commands that I've given you. But the word, I think, that was used, making disciples, was supposedly making them want to be a follower. Not like, converting them by force or convincing them. It was just making that, like, letting them see a life that's so desirable that they just want to be a follower, right? So I think that applies to plural marriage, where if you're just out talking to your girlfriend, if you're a woman, and you're like, how great your husband is and how happy he makes you, and she does this for me. If there's any interest, maybe that person will approach you, or, we've even prayed about that with women that were acquaintances of Sana, where it was like, hey, look, if she's for us, God, have her come to us, right? We don't need to approach her, have her bring it up. Or just have it come up somehow without us, because we don't ever want to be that creepy couple that's like, hey, do you want to come over tonight? Like, and they're like, ew, like, I don't want this. Watch it. This stance is hard enough. It's lonely enough. We don't need to lose any more friends and family. So yeah. What else? So let's talk about the girl that we went out with the other night, right? Do we want to talk about that? Have we got into that? We kind of did. We kind of already talked about that.
So it started off with a casual conversation, right?
Yeah.
And then, so she said, so I asked if she was by herself. She said yes, and I said, oh, well, do you want to go out for a drink tonight? And I said, like, me and my husband are here, like, on vacation too, blah, blah, blah. Like, you want to you want to hang out? And she was like, yeah. I could tell she actually really wanted it because she was probably super bored by herself. I mean,
She basically got stranded.
Yeah, she got stranded. Her friends stay, right?
Mhm.
So she was just lonely, it seemed. So her and I went out, like, and we had like she was like
She was sweet.
Yeah, she was very sweet and super open.
Super
personality.
transparent, not pretentious at all. She wasn't trying to like, look like a certain thing. She just was like, this is who I am, and and we appreciate that. We both of us can't stand pretentious people. Like, anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, and I was like very open. She asked how I met you. I told her the story from how waiting works, like the sex before marriage, that I read your blog and then I found you, blah blah. I left out the polygyny because I didn't want to make it weird. I did say like he posted some stuff and we got to talking about that, and then her and I had a great night. We went out to, like, you had a work call.
Yeah, so I had a call and I met up with them, and then we went to like a little spot on the beach and just hung out, and then we were home early. And but then the next day she came down to where we were working at the resort, and Sana, because we were wondering like, how do we bring this up, right? And Sana brings up, well, this basically starts telling our story about how God confirmed us to get married and how I mentioned that she was unsure, and she said, well, he's got some different beliefs and blah blah blah. She kind of dropped the hint. I knew it was like a alley-oop. Like, I knew that was for me. So I said, well, let me tell you, the different belief is this. And I said, what do you know about biblical marriage? Of course, that opened the door. We told her all about it, and she was like, oh yeah, like not weirded out. Again, super not judgmental girl. And yeah, it was fine. I mean, that right there is actually probably the most challenging part, is how do you bring it up, right? Because befriending someone is pretty easy, but then how do you cross that bridge? So like, that was just what worked for us. But yeah, and it was fairly natural. But what else? Back to the question: where are we landing on that? Does a good wife bring other wives to her husband? I definitely don't think that you should. It's one tool in your toolbox. You shouldn't rely only on your wife, I don't believe. Like, that doesn't get you off the hook of learning how to prospect yourself. It doesn't get you off the hook of leveling up and being the kind of man that just attracts women. But it is one tool, one of many tools in your toolbox. And if you limit yourself to just your wife, or just yourself, or like just a dating profile or whatever, I think you are limiting yourself. Because what I like about the fact is, when we're together, she approaches, she's just got a way, right? Like, she goes up, and I'll post some videos. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, follow me at Unplugged Christian, and I'll post a couple videos. And like, you see her just walk up, she says something, next thing you know, she's sitting down on the girl's day bed, and they're just right away best friends. I think for a woman, her defenses are down. Like with a man, if I approach a woman, she's going to be like, danger, stranger danger. And then, like...
And then as soon as you say you're married, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, well, I did that. You remember there was a girl at the resort, and she was all smiley. I said, are you here with your husband? She's like, no. And I said, I don't remember what I even said, but I said, you here alone? She said, yes. And she was all smiley. She was definitely interested. And we got to talking, and she's like, I'm here with a friend, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh, okay, cool. Who are you? She goes, who are you here with? I said, my wife. And I pointed at her, and Sana was right across the way. And you could see the look on her face changed. And then Sana walked up. I said, she's okay with it. And Sana walked up, and she's like, oh, hi. And the girl's like, hi, trying to be polite, but also you could tell she was put off. And we did sit down and had a good conversation. I explained it all to her, not trying to convince her, because this woman was unlawfully divorced, the way she left her husband. And I'm like, I don't want to be an adulterer. But I told her she should go back to her husband, but I did want to explain it, because every time, even if a cold approach is just planting the seed in that woman's mind, and that maybe takes sprout and grows later. Many women I've talked to are in relationships, physical relationships, with men who aren't their husbands, and they're probably hoping that they get a commitment, and maybe they will if they are open. Their minds are open to this, because it uncomplicates knowing the definition of biblical marriage uncomplicates marriage and building a family so much. I think I may have said that on our last live, but I tweeted about it, because We met married. We married within 8 months of meeting. We saved sex for marriage. We got a baby on the way. Everything just fell into line as soon as I knew the definition of biblical marriage. I may or may not take another, but that doesn't change what's already happened in our life. So many women want this. So many men want what I have. And knowing the definition, the truth about biblical marriage makes it possible. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a thought. This is random. Like, but when you said like that, it doesn't get guys off the hook. I mean, I think you're completely right. I don't think it should be now all of a sudden a woman's responsibility to bring in the wives. Like, not like various ways. Like some here, Ali says, I think she can, but God can bring wives various ways. I do
100%.
believe that too.
Agreed, 100%.
Yeah.
A million ways. Yep.
Right, but when you said like guys need to, what did you say, to elevate themselves or to like
level up.
Yeah, level up. That made me think. I mean, a man, and that's also like something you touched on very shortly this morning when you said like, I do think it's very important for men, even if you want to do this, is like you have to be good to your wife.
Yes.
Because the reason why I want to bring other wives to him is because he is great to me. Like I couldn't even pretend that he's not. Like he's such a good husband. That's also what I tell all those women, and it's completely true. Like I'm super in love with him. He's great to me. He takes very good care of me, and I'm thinking like, well, it's almost selfish of me to not want that for another woman.
Good job, baby. Here you go. Well, that was the point that we made earlier. Is the reason I was thinking about that. The reason that she's, ramped up her activity, looking for another woman, are for very practical reasons. But deep down, it's because she's so secure. She knows I'm here. I ain't going nowhere ever, and that makes her not feel threatened to bring in another woman. Now, one of the things that we brought up in the program, or one of the guys brought up, is like, I wouldn't want my wives out there looking, prospecting for me, because they may, sabotage it, even if it's unconsciously. They may, maybe the woman is too pretty or whatever, or maybe they just don't completely trust their judgment. But I do think if you get to a point where the women are very secure in the relationship, that you can trust their judgment. I mean, arranged marriages work, right? They work a lot better, I think, than marriages in the West, from what I hear. Like they have a much higher success rate. So, I don't discount what some people believe if they don't want to involve their wives. Maybe to each man their house is what we say in the program. If that works for you, then that's what you should do. But for some relationships like ours, I think it's a good tactic.
It's still different though, because it's not like I'm not deciding on it. So this is actually what I wanted to share with you this morning, but I kept it for now, is that it actually made me trust you more. Like even this interaction with this girl, I mean, there has been various girls where I actually started trusting you more, because I think that's a bonus if you start doing this. Even if you're a little bit hesitant in the beginning, it is more fun because you are now more involved in the process. So if you do agree that that's a thing, then I think you should do it. But also it makes you trust your husband more, because even with this girl, like she was very pretty, she was young, but so it's more like I talk to her, I kind of bring her to him, but then it also made me trust you more because I could already see like you're very analytic and you're just not fooled by just prettiness or just because she's young and she's hot, that's like now you're taking her as a wife. No, you think about all the things, like you really analyze it and you're like, well, she has this but she has not this, and she has like, it's already a balance, which actually makes me trust you more because I can see how you're not just
only a fool, right, would do that, would not weigh the long-term effects, because anybody that we marry, unless they're unfaithful, we're married for life. Or I guess they could leave too. They could jump ship, and you can't really stop that. But definitely, you don't want to get fooled by a pretty face. But going back, well, go ahead, finish your thought there.
Yeah, because I think a lot of women, if you say that you believe in biblical marriage, now they're afraid that, first of all, now they're sitting on the couch while their husband is swiping on his Tinder profile the whole freaking night and they don't have him to herself anymore, and then he's gonna get fooled by just
Pretty face.
yeah, just a pretty face, younger woman, and that she feels threatened by, and that woman is now getting all her husband's attention, and I mean, at least I can see like that's definitely how that could go in your mind. Like you don't get any attention anymore. He kind of leaves you for somebody else, even though you're still there. But
Yeah.
But if you just really see it acting out, like I think even because, I mean, I think that happens more if there's monogamy and the guy will just sees his hot secretary or like his hot colleague and then he will run off with her. But if he really has to consider, okay, now I'm going to marry her, there is going to go a different thought process.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because the divorce isn't out for somebody in their mind. So they're like, hey, if it doesn't work out, we'll just divorce. I mean, I don't plan on ever getting divorced to any woman I marry again, not outside of what is biblically permissible. But going back to what we originally said is, guys, as a man, it's your responsibility to make your wife feel secure. Because if she's not secure, she's not going to help, at least authentically help, right? Not be truly look for a woman that may be a good fit. But there is an argument to be made of getting her involved in the process, because what Sana just said is like, if you're not involved in the process, who's to say that he doesn't make a bad choice? Because you should be his number one advisor. That's the way, Sana, I look at Sana as she's my number one advisor. So yeah, I mean, it probably would be good for you to be involved in that process,
And it becomes less threatening to you too, I think, because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there were girls that kind of came on the scene that were DMing me and knew about her, but then started trying to act like pull me away from her, and then she saw that I shut it down. I'm like, listen, my wife's not going anywhere, basically stop doing this, and that just built the trust.
That definitely builds trust for sure.
Let's go through a few of these questions here. Let's see here. Okay, so let's go back. We got Q Cells. Josh J.E. listening from Eastern North Carolina. I agree with the bring them in concept of the gospel and marriage correlation. Yeah, I definitely think there's a biblical model there. Salutations, Andrew Stanley Coker. What else here? He said that inequality is started in biblical times with Pharaoh and Herod. Makes more sense for men to provide marital covering to women as much as they can afford. I don't know about that historical, the inequality. Are you talking about men to women? Maybe that's what he means. The husbandman is responsible for the harvest, but his maidens, as in the Boaz picture, are out there harvesting. How does that correlate to women bringing wives to their husband? Is that basically the man would have to build himself into something, and then the women are out there harvesting, bringing the women that would want a man like that too? Is that what you're saying? That makes sense. Good morning, Ali Cyrus. Ali Cyrus is working on a book on polygyny. I'm excited for that coming out, Ali. If you'd like an endorsement from me, give me a copy of the book. I'd be happy to. I think she can, but God can bring wives in various ways. We already talked about that. Biblical marriage, whether monogamy or polygyny, changes the whole game on the responsibility factor on the man to treat his wife with the love that the Bible requires of him. Definitely more responsibility. Women submit when they feel secure in what they have. That's a great point, yeah. And there's somebody with it looks like a Greek name, said hi, and Allie says her book is ready. Awesome. When is the publish date? Is it already up? Are you self-publishing? What's the word on that? All righty. What else?
I think we're good.
Couple things. I made a video a couple weeks ago about the economy, and I just want to quickly mention it. Go back and watch it if you will. It's like 2 lives ago, I believe. Talked about a prophecy that God gave me 25 years ago. There's going to be an economic collapse in the United States. It's going to cause a global depression. What God told me, this was back in 2000, was to buy gold. Gold was $300 an ounce at that time. You can go look it up on a chart. And now it's $4,000 an ounce. So it's not too late. I'd consider silver, because silver is still a pretty good bargain. It's poor man's gold. But you have to, if you do have any money, even if it's only a little bit, you have to put your money in assets and stuff that's going to hedge inflation, because they're going to just print money until the dollar collapses, is what I believe. He didn't tell me all these details, but you can see the writing on the wall. So go out, pick up some gold and silver. You can buy crypto, even though crypto is tanking right now, or at least some of it is. Bitcoin's starting to go down, trend down. But go back and watch that video and prepare yourself. I've made a few videos on this over the years. I've talked about some of the things that I'm doing to prepare. If you need a referral to, you can just go to a local gold and silver dealer in your town, and you can buy precious metals. But if you're going to buy a lot, over $2,500 worth, you probably save some money on fees if you do it online, and I can point you in the right direction if you need to. What else?
No, she says she could post a link.
Okay, good.
Somebody asked.
Okay, good.
About her book too.
Good. Oh, Allie's book. What's the name of it, Allie? Okay, good. All right, reach out to me. My email address, you can do it on just Instagram is the best place to DM me, at Unplugged Christian. If any women are watching this, you can apply to be part of Sana's private Telegram community. It's called Faithful Femininity. And how many, you got about 24 women in there? A dozen?
Yeah, it's been growing lately.
It's been growing. We have a lot of women reaching out. A lot of women that are married already, and they're in the process of looking. Some women that are already in plural marriages. Any?
Yeah, some.
A couple single women.
Yeah, and it's like very various backgrounds, I would say. And some women are completely on board with it for years. Some women are really new to it, and they still have a lot of questions or a lot of emotional struggles with it. And it's for the whole group. It's really like support, bringing other people. It can be really hard to find
people that believe this.
Believe the same thing, and so it's great to have a group of women, and it's been really growing lately. So
good. So yeah, I mean, our vision, our dream is to really get this truth out to women. And Allie, actually, you would be a great person to be part of this Telegram community, because I'm sure you have a lot of value to add. Maybe the girls could even read your book together. It's called Polygyny: A Righteous Option for Women. I mean, what better book? Reach out, be part of join her Telegram community. But our vision really is that we can get the word out to more single women, and start to introduce some of these single women to some of the men in my program, and actually fly out and attend their weddings. Like, our dream is like take 10% of everything that the program generates and sew it into the marriages that are happening through our program to help them get their life started, capture content, put it on social media, feed more people into the group, and really start to normalize this thing, because we are the front runners to this, right? We are the pioneers. There's not a lot of people that believe this, or people that came before us, like Pete Rambo and the people at BibFam and Don Milton, and can't think of the one guy's name, the polygyny advocate, Mark something. Anyway, there are people that were before us, and many more names, I'm sure. But we're the pioneers, and until we get this thing normalized, then the masses are never going to follow, because they're going to suffer too much. They don't have, maybe their egos aren't healthy enough to take the negativity, or maybe they don't want to be kicked out of their church or whatever. They just don't want to, they're too afraid to come out with it. So there's going to be some people that are really brave that have to stand up and speak about it for us to get to that point where we can tip the scales and really, hopefully, decriminalize polygyny, normalize it even better, to the point where people aren't afraid to come out of the shadows. Kind of the way the homosexual movement did it. Not advocating for that at all, but I do respect the fact that they were brave enough to make change, affect change. So that's it. Rada Crockett, we got to do that live. Reach out to me on Instagram, and let's see if we can get a date lined up on domestic discipline. That's gonna be a spicy one. Anything else?
No, you need to catch a flight.
Okay, I gotta bounce. I gotta get on a flight. I'll be back in the States tonight. Do us a favor. If you are the praying type, say a prayer for Sana. Really want to get her back in the States by the holidays for New Year's. I got a big party, and
Christmas.
Christmas, and I know people have different beliefs
My
on Christmas.
birthday even.
Her birthday's in December. We got a lot of things, and we want to get there. The baby, want to get her back. The baby bump is getting bigger, and yeah, just do all that. So if you would, say a prayer. And if you want to join the Man of Options, link is in the description or pinned to the top of this, the comment pinned to the top. And I'll also include the link to the application to apply for Sana's Faithful Feminine, or you can just DM her on Instagram at femme.faithful. And we'll tell you, it's a very easy process to become a member. And we invite all you ladies, we need you all, strength in numbers. So love you guys. We'll see you on the next one.